vote again 2010 and beyond, meet them where they're at. That means literally meet them where they're at geographically, but also the different types of literacies that we were talking about, different types of political organizing, online, in person, through music, through culture. There are a couple of organizations out here that are actually, out sitting here, who work through cultural organizing to bring young people to vote, but also to help them, talk about the issues that matter the most in their communities. So meet young people where they're at. Also, making sure that you are connecting with them on their issues and showing that they do have power, not just at the polls, but they have power as a voting bloc and as a citizen to impact change in their community. So there are definitely different strategies, and we highlighted some of the challenges. But I know there's a wealth of information and probably some questions and challenges that you all have as organizers with young people. So at this point, I want to open it up to questions. We have about 15 minutes to have a dialogue and conversation. So I just want to open it up to anybody in the audience who asks a question. Just please give your name, and if you have an organization that you're representing, give your organization as well, and ask the panel or even out to the audience your question, and we can engage in more of a dialogue.
My name is Angel Peoples. I am with Campus Progress, Project of the Center for American Progress. And I have a lot of questions, thoughts. Thank you so much to all of the panelists. I think the first thing that came to my mind when I looked at the title of this workshop was resurgence. And for me, it may be the nature of the work that I do. I work engaging young people on issue organizing and advocacy. Resurgence feels like, kind of a slap in the face for me a little bit, because I feel like the surgence is ongoing, right? We're surging, we've been surging, and I think a lot of us thought 2008 was going to be, finally that stamp of legitimacy, because we turned out in 2006. It was a midterm election, and so the numbers weren't quite as exciting, but there was turnout in 2006, an increase. And again in 2008, but still here we are 2 years later, midterm election, folks are saying that young people aren't going to turn out. And we know clearly from hearing from the panelists, as well as working within the community, the organizing community, that there is an effort to turn out youth, and not just this year, 2010, but in 2009, organizing around issues, healthcare reform, student aid reform, immigration reform, the Youth Promise Act, organizing around these issues, but then also organizing around coming out for the election. And so I think for me, it's the question is not how do we engage the new generation of voters, but how do we get the old generation of voters, no disrespect to my more senior brothers and sisters in here, but how do we get the generation of folks who have a lot of the power of the purse or the power of the press to recognize and really respect the youth vote that has turned out consistently and has been engaged on issues between election years.
Was that a response, or did you want to?
Yeah, I guess just to add on, I guess in a sense, part of what I tweeted while I was in here talking to you is that I got to a couple of workshops and I couldn't stay because I'm still a grandmother and it hurt my back to sit on the floor like crazy, so I was very happy to come in here. But then I realized that we've talked a lot throughout this whole workshop, starting from the SHOT conference down to, on up, about how important the youth voice is, and yet this room is half empty. So, I find it really, even in our own realm of what we say and what we do, are completely two different things. And I'm guilty of it. I'm a grandmother. I was trying to get in the other rooms, I just, I'm a cool grandmother. I'm getting stuck now. Well, I know the song, girl. So, but at the same time, I think it's very hypocritical. I'll give you a perfect example. A couple of years ago, I was an organizer for a group in Rochester. I'm with Citizen Action in New York, now the organizing director. But a couple of years ago, I was organizing, and our organization is predominantly older. They started during the civil rights movement, and the demographics of this particular organization is basically, look, it's time to die off, leave the money, and let's get moving. not in that sense, but I am encouraging them to will money to us. But at the same time, we decided to do youth marches and youth things when public education and the campaign for fiscal equity became a really strong issue. I got like 300 youth to do a youth march that was phenomenal. And I kid you not, they were all, oh yeah, this is so great. Not one of those members came out to support them. They love it when, oh, it sounds so nice to hear a young person on the phone when you're phone banking, but you won't come out and support anything that the youth do. So that is, I don't know, but I think we need to hold our own people accountable to that stuff. And how do young people intend on doing that? You gotta give it to us. You gotta give it to us. You gotta give it to the grandmothers and everybody else that's up in here and let us know this is wrong and you're disrespecting us because you want us to be a part of your agenda, but you're not helping ours. I don't know how to do that.
Erica, something that
Yeah, I mean, just kind of trying to play a stream of consciousness here, but just to add to that, I think one of the, because I thought that too when I came in, and how relatively compared to the other panel strategy was, but part of it, one of the things I always ask people when they're organizing conferences is, I think it's wonderful to have a youth session, and I think we should have that, and this should be packed, but the other piece is, young people need to be on all the other sessions. It's no different than when we're talking about, predominantly white conferences having a session about, communities of color and organizing. When people of color should be on all the sessions. So I think part of it in terms of how do we do that, taking it beyond the conference piece is we have to be at the table. We have to be at whatever the decision-making table is, don't just have a decision-making table and then set up a kiddie table next to it. Don't have a main conference and then set up a junior conference. Part of it is when decisions are being made, whether it's about voting, public policy, decisions in our communities, we need to be present at the decision-making table and bring to it all that we have, all that, our culture teaches us all that we have, all of our new tools and technologies. But it's just not about being